You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, Movo University, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Tractioning System, Imaging Services, Ignite Marketing, and Zingit Solutions. Let's hustle. Hey guys, good morning. I guess this is a live stream with Cyndy Elwart Shaft Toll, and she is in a leadership position with the Women's Chiropractic Group. And we're going to talk a lot about what she's doing, but we're going to have a sobering conversation about the opiate epidemic that is really decaying the communities that we all live in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but then we're going to talk about celebration. We're going to talk about how we're really helping each other and all of the cool places that we're going to be seeing with each other over the next 6 months. But before we get into that, I'm going to say thank you to Dr. Alok Trivedi with the Aligned Performance Institute. And if you guys want to learn how to create more success and fulfillment in your life, personally, professionally, and live the inspired dream of your mission, reach out to Dr. Alok, and he'll be able to help you out with aligning yourself, personal, business, finances, and your goals and your dreams, and be able to achieve them. But now I have Dr. Cyndy here with me, and I just wanted to jump right in with you, and let's talk about this opioid crisis that we're dealing with and what it's, how it's, really damaging families.
October 20th of 2017, 7 months ago, was a big and hard day in our family. I got a call. I was actually at the Ohio State Chiropractic Convention, getting ready to speak to a group of women there from our Women Chiropractors organization, and I got an urgent call on my phone, and because I took it from my husband, and he said to me, Toby died. And so let's start the story from there. Toby was my son-in-law. My daughter met the love of her life at Michigan State University. Her then-to-be husband was a super smart guy. He was enrolled at that time at James Madison College, which is a poli-sci thing. You have to be very, very intelligent to get in. It's elite thing. Toby was 2 years ahead of everybody else in school. He was also one of the strongest and one of the finest Christian men you'd know. So he had brothers, and he was super athletic. In fact, at his wake, one of his friends got up and talked about how strong Toby was. He said, "Do you see the side of this building right here? Toby could climb it up. He could climb up that building. He was so strong." So he was super strong and super smart and had super great morals. So my daughter and him got married, and they had their family, and didn't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I couldn't understand why this brilliant man, you'd love to speak with him and pick his brain. This man strategized huge political campaigns, opened up a big casino in our area, did the whole background work to get everything done, handled a huge river cleanup. He's a big shooter. But they were having trouble with money. I could not understand this. And at some point in time, my daughter told me they needed to move. They moved about an hour and a half over here to Plymouth, Michigan. And he was just having a hard time. They were losing their house. Did not understand what was going on. Again, this man is working 70 hours a week. So let me tell you the backstory. What I found out later. Toby was working hard. He was. They had great demands for him. He was basically a vice president in this political, in politics there, in the political action place where he was at. They lobbied people. And he would write these incredible things. Like Blue Cross tried to take over the state of Michigan and kick every other insurance company out, and he was the one that would write the press releases. So he was working 70, 80 hours a week, on call all the time, high-powered executive. And he was playing football with his brothers and some friends because he's an athlete too, right? He broke his foot in 6 places. And so they took him to the hospital, and they're Lisfranc fractures, for those of you who are doctors. It's a big mess. It means that everything is torn off that bone. So it's not just, it's broken, but it's shattered. It's disconnected from everything, which requires tons and tons of screws and all sorts of stuff. And they put his foot together, and he did the best he could with it. But what happened over time, of course, they gave him, as he told me, drawers of opiates, and he was always in pain. I knew he always was in pain. He grew up in a family that was very, very medically minded. If the doctor told you to do that, you do that because they're, smart people. They're doing what's best for you. And he started to take the opiates that they gave him. And he told me he had drawers full of them. And so he's working 70 some hours a week. My daughter has a horrible miscarriage in the middle of all this. Really the worst one I've ever seen. She was suffering in the middle of the night, crying, lots of mess. Anyway, he was still not really pro chiropractic, really pro anything natural. He was still trying to do it himself. So he's got pain and all this stuff. So what I found out in the meantime, while he's trying to help my daughter, he's taking some opioids to keep him going, to work, to keep making money, to take care of my daughter. Then they have a child, their oldest daughter, Emily, and they have her in the hospital there in Lansing, and they decided against their written intentions to vaccinate Emily. They vaccinated Emily against their written wishes, and Emily is now autistic. So now we have an autistic child and an opiate addicted son-in-law from someone who is one of the most holistic families that you'll ever find. All this stuff is hidden. I can't understand why they lost their house and why they have to come live with me. Basically, he's almost a vice president at this time. I find out later on all this stuff is going on. The doctors had cut him off, right? They cut him off from opioids because he'd been on opioids over 2 years. And they said, I'm sorry, you're going to be fine. Now, they told him he was always going to be in pain. Always going to be in pain. There's nothing they can do for him, right? So now he's got horrible low back pain because he's limping around all the time. Never fit him with any kind of lift in his shoe, which I did, by the way, eventually. All these issues left him out hanging to dry. So Toby, trying to be a good citizen as much as he could, he's trying to figure out how to self-medicate. The doctors aren't giving him anything. He's trying to hold life together, and what does he do? He starts using, right? He goes and he starts buying Vicodin on the street, and then later on he starts buying heroin. And I didn't know this till he died. Heroin is the least costly thing to keep up with, right? So that's why people use heroin. I didn't know that. I think I'm pretty dumb. But anyway, they came and lived with us. My husband owns a landscape company, and I got to know him and even better love him. And he never wanted to come near us. And he would open up and talk about stuff, but never about the addiction. I never knew the addiction. But he'd be gone for days at a time, just sleeping. Finally, I got to be able to adjust him some, and he got some relief. And finally, I looked at his feet, and I actually fit him with some orthotics, which gave him a great release. So addicts have a lot of issues. The stuff we're missing in our garage. Different stuff was just disappearing. My daughter was struggling. They're all struggling. He would disappear for days at a time, like just he wouldn't talk to anybody. And I didn't really realize later that these were off and on times where he was trying to detox or not use. While he was living with us for 3 years, he was probably clean for most of that time, but still, he told me and Heather later that he said, imagine the thing that you crave the most in your life times 100. And that's what it feels like to be addicted to heroin. So he had a bad trip one day, really bad trip. And we found him in our basement, and he was he was not trying to, but his kids were by and he was hitting them. He's laying on his back and he's just having a bad trip. And so we told Heather and him, he can't live here, obviously, using and all this stuff. And so they found him a treatment facility. Toby, being the person that can talk everybody out of everybody, talked himself out of the treatment facility in 2 weeks of rehab. 2 weeks, they let him out. And so he had his own apartment, and Heather, this is the tough thing. This was a really, really tough thing. But, she goes, Mom, don't hate me for it. He's my husband. He loves the kids. And I know I would hear him playing with the kids. It wasn't that he didn't love my daughter. It wasn't that he didn't love his kids. But the problem was this pain that he had was constant, and now he's got addiction on top of it, and then it's the secrecy and the shame of all of this stuff. So I had actually helped him in chiropractic, adjusting him, fitting him with orthotics. He was actually starting to turn the corner. So I said to Heather, well, how's Toby doing? Oh, he's fine. He's got a job in construction, blah, blah, blah. She goes, Mom, I think something's wrong. His phone isn't moving. She's got, the Find Your Phone app. Something's wrong. She shows up at the apartment. No one lets her in the house. She comes home. His roommate calls and says Toby died. Toby was found in a praying position. And the police told us nobody is found in a praying position. I know he didn't want to overdose. I've been asked that question many times. The last thing he wanted to do was leave his family. I know he even loved me, and I was his mother-in-law. It was a waste. This stuff it's just horrible. We can't let this stuff go on. My daughter, we are all picking up the pieces of this nonsense. This is ridiculous. I have 2 grandchildren who don't have a father, and they say, I miss my daddy. What do you say to your little grandkids? I miss my daddy. Drugs aren't the answer, and he found out too late. He fought with everything because he was in with the whole medical establishment. There's a time and place for medicine, but boy, there wasn't a time and place for him. This Sackett family that did this false data that said opioids are safe is being sued. Do you know what the police told me, Jim? That 4 people died in my upper middle class suburb that week from heroin overdose, and that it's bankrupting the cities, that they only can visit 3 times in one house per heroin addict because they're bankrupting us because other citizens don't get regular services if they're taking care of it. It's affecting everybody. I'm the CEO of Women Chiropractors. I didn't even know all the intricacies and all the stuff that's going on. All I know is my son-in-law died 3 days short of his 40th birthday, and he was one of the smartest men I've met in my entire life. And this has got to stop.
Yeah. It's something that I know that with what I'm doing with chiropractic and journalism and sharing the story, like I tell people, you're just one story away, keep hustling. And, that's kind of a catchphrase that I use, but we're just one story away from breaking through to somebody that needs it. And, I was an athlete too. And one of the things that we always told each other is you're only as good as your last game. So leave it all on the field. And, when you think about families and you think about the power of the chiropractic lifestyle and you think about how the medical industry has run racket by overprescribing to people and really damaging people's potential because there's not a pill, a potion, or a lotion that's going to unlock the innate potential within your body. And I know that the chiropractic adjustment turns people's lights on. I used to joke around yeah, go get adjusted. It will turn your lights on and keep your lights on, and it will make you a better human. And we've lost scope, I think, to think that people think that chiropractors pop people and it's a bone game. It's a nervous system game. And that's the part where most people don't understand that the pain meds that people take. And I've talked to people left and right about this concern, Cyndy. And I knew that there was going to be a time where the chiropractic lifestyle and the chiropractic practitioner is going to have to step up if they were going to actually see a change, if they were actually going to see um, natural health take the front lines of taking care of this at-risk population. And I know probably Tara Hogan's watching and Chris Price is watching, and I know that they probably have seen the decay in their communities because of people turning to drugs and what it's doing to the moral fibers of families. And like you said, even the strongest hero can be taken down. And it's not that their choice is to be taken down; it's the course of action when somebody becomes addicted. And I know that there's chiropractic techniques out there that are focused on addictionology, like the torque release technique and the work that Jay Holder is doing with addictionology. And I know that there's people out there that are trained to take care of people with these concerns. And I know that the states are starting to get stronger and the country's getting stronger. But I think that the plateau effect right now is who's going to come in and step in and who's going to be the servants to take care of these at-risk populations. And, our next film coming out, Project Patient, it features one of our military soldiers, Shiloh Harris, who was addicted to opiates. And he was going to take his own life at one point. And he said, chiropractic's the thing that saved my life.
Yeah.
And, if you want to talk truth, and you see Shiloh Harris, who has burnt 75% of his body, he's had over 50 surgeries, and he's now the spokesman for chiropractic in the military.
I know. I met him.
So,
He's a great guy. Yeah.
so for what you've experienced, Cyndy, it's not uncommon for people to have these cavities in their families and these cavities in their communities. And you just, when you think that, like I kind of joke around sometimes and I say, I'm just a guy from Iowa that loves his mom. And I wish that everybody else would say that out there. I wish people would just say that. Like, I love people, And I think that we lose ourselves so quickly, Cyndy, when we stop telling people that we care. We stop checking in on people. And I know the chiropractic lifestyle is something that, I wax eloquence with almost every day. I'm saying eat well, think well, move well, get adjusted first, and all the other things will happen. But people are really sick. And here's Tara Hogan. She says, we now have a death toll board up in the middle of town recording heroin and opiate. Sorry, it went away. We now have a death toll board up in the middle of town recording heroin and opiate deaths. Let's step up, chiropractors. Let's love people. And
we need to love people. But when I hear all this stuff, when I heard this stuff before this hit my family, I had no clue. But it's not just an epidemic. It's all over the place and it's everywhere. And it's just, it hit I can't even tell you the ripple effects of all this stuff. Yeah, I'm so proud of my daughter. How she stood through this. How she's an incredible woman. My photo I did for American Chiropractor, the cover, she shot that one. She's a gifted photographer, and she's trying to rebuild her life. But literally, as much as she said to me, Mom, I bet on potential meld. I bet on potential meld with him. This guy had every chance to be anything he could have been in life. And yet this stuff took this Superman down, this super, super strong man, super, super smart man. It took him down. It just cut him off at the knees. And he tried to recover. Like I said, I could just see Toby because I knew him enough. We had a lot of conversations about women chiropractors, all this different stuff. He helped me with a lot of stuff with this. And he said, but this is just something he just couldn't get past. And you just can't. You just can't. There needs to be help for these people out there. The people who are already addicted. They need to come back and they need to find places for them to actually really detox and get through all this stuff, to heal, for families to heal. for all these things. It's just, but Heather, my daughter, is going to be quite the eloquent spokeswoman. I mean, it's just, I'm in awe of this woman every single day. I hear how she takes care of these kids, but literally, you we have to do something. We have to do something.
So, what is a solution? How can chiropractors help?
Well, just by spreading the chiropractic lifestyle, that's the big deal. I mean, let's be reasonable. How big we are as a profession, we can change. I guess in my way with women chiropractors, I'm helping women chiropractors reach more people. That's really what I'm doing. I'm trying to change that so that they're stronger so that they can reach more people. I'm trying to empower a whole army of people. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like them to just be able to change people so they're not reaching for drugs. Drugs isn't the first thing you reach for. Legislatively, this stuff has to change, and then there has to be ways to deal with all this stuff. And, but like I said, he was so brainwashed by the medical establishment. By the time he got to our family, we've had lots and lots and lots of talks and explanations. He did a lot of research and he really understood. But it's just it's fighting a societal norm, and so that's what we can do. We have to do what we do in chiropractic. We have to keep fighting. You don't know whose life you're going to save. I just can't understand um, the contribution this man would have had in society. You don't, you know, when you lose, I mean, I'm not diminishing the fact this man had a super high IQ and full of energy. And the fact that it was just wasted is beyond me. How many people, how many Tobys are out there like that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be in the cultural conversation. And we need to start sharing these stories more because, there's so many people out there with families just like yours that are, sick and suffering from the emotional drain, and
Yeah.
they're sick and suffering from the loss. And there's a lot of grief out there, and there's a lot of, we talk about chiropractors like failing and whatnot, but there's a self-esteem issue for everyone. And there's the chemical, the physical, and the emotional of the stress paradigm. And I think that there's so many people out there that, honestly, I had this talk earlier with Monica Berger. People just don't know where to go or who to trust. So
Yeah.
I think that the chiropractic campaign needs to go into one of action, saying trust us. Trust us. And I know that there's being bills passed right now in certain states. I know West Virginia just passed one yesterday, that if somebody comes down with an opiate epidemic or an opiate incident, that they get 20 visits to a chiropractor now as the first line of caregiving. So
Yeah.
if you guys are in West Virginia, start beating that drum and start telling people that we are the answers for this crisis that's really decaying and putting cavities into our society. And if you guys really think that chiropractors can step up and be that force of change, it goes back to I think it was Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see, or something to that nature. But I think it comes back to like a high level of philosophy, is that if you are the servant, and if you are out there saving lives, don't just be cliche about it. Go out there and find out ways to bring these people in and care for them, because they do need holistic doctors. They do need people that aren't going to, push them away and make them feel shunned out of society. And, these are lives that you can save. And I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest takeaway from hearing the testimony from you, is that people do need support. And it's a lonely world out there if we don't love each other. And, Tara Hogan, here's her comment: let's step it up, chiropractors. Let's love people. And, it's been honestly, it's just been a super emotional morning for me, talking about chiropractic and kids, and how, learning disabilities get drugged. And, and I'll tell you guys this, it's not us against them. It's
No.
not. It's us all together. But if we have
Right.
a system out there that's not serving people, and it's ruining people's lives, then we need to see how we can support that system within the chiropractic system. Because I know that the chiropractors, you guys are all just waiting to take care of people,
I
and
know.
And if we had every chiropractor out there busy, you know what would happen? We'd get more health and wellness going. We'd get more people that wanted to become chiropractors. We'd get little kids that would say, you know what, you cleaned up our community. I want to be a chiropractor. You
Right.
know, and
Right.
and
Exactly.
I think that's the branding that we need is the chiropractors to start stepping up because the future depends on the chiropractic adjustment. And I wouldn't sit here and have these talks with people so passionately and spend my time and my days pouring into the chiropractic profession if I didn't think it was the answer.
Yeah.
I'm somebody that you can't fool me, and I see through everything. And I know that chiropractic is a solution for all people's health. And I think
Hmm.
that the chiropractor has built such a bias around them that they don't want to continue telling people because the American Medical Association tried to, you know, crush the credibility within the paradigm of chiropractic. So honestly, we have to take the power back, and chiropractors have all the answers that the people need. And you have the training, you have the education, you have the healing hands. And I think that the more people that it's hard, Tara. Telling the truth, telling the story can be hard sometimes, but it's the best way we can love our people. And I think that, you know, when we realize that it's bigger than us. And, you know, I hear that a lot of times in chiropractic. It's bigger than us, and we save lives. Well, that's my encouragement to all of you is to go save more lives, and to step up and to be the serve the servants, and take care of the at-risk population, whether it's the military, whether it's kids and families and moms and dads, whether it's those that are addicted, whether it's those that just want to have a clean functioning nervous system. You know,
Yeah.
I think that the chiropractor is the answer for taking care of people. You
Yeah.
know, and you know, there's so much love out there that we just need to start telling people we love them. And, you know, back to what I say is I'm just a kid from Iowa that loves his mom. Maybe you guys should all reach out to your your moms or your dads and say I love you today. And
Yeah.
it might be the change that, you know, brings you together stronger. Maybe you don't have a good relationship with your mom or dad, but you wouldn't be where you are today without them. So reach out to them, even if it's not the greatest relationship or friendship that you have with them, and just try it. And then send me a private message and say, hey, I reached out to my mom and I reached out to my dad and I told him I loved him and things are getting better.
That's awesome. That's a great note. You know, Toby would have been the last person in the world that anybody would want him to feel sorry for, nor would he want this broadcast, this story broadcast. All he would ever want to do is be part of a solution. And he would be the first person to say that he's a flawed person and he could have done stuff better. And like I said, but self-flagellation isn't going to change it. Actual action is going to change it. You know, actual action is going to change this stuff.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, Movo University, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Tractioning System, Imaging Services, Ignite Marketing, and Zingit Solutions. Let's hustle. So if you guys are watching this and you feel like it's pulling at your heartstrings, share it. And share it more and share it more and share it more. I don't need to see your emotions on here. I don't need to see your comments on here, which they help, but share it because people need to hear this story and they need to hear this message. And if you could do one thing for me, if you believe in what I'm doing, share this story. And I think that that's more credible than any of you can ever do by putting your hand in my palm and shaking my hand and just share it so other people can learn from it, because it is a really learning moment. And I know that there is a solid gravity to this message and that people need to understand that chiropractic could be the answer for the solution, and it could be the answer for this health crisis, not only our country, but it's a global problem. And I think that the chiropractic lifestyle is something that needs to be championed more, and we need to be more vocal, but we need to make it consumable for people to get, and we need to start taking care of people, period. So thank you for sharing Toby's story. Thank you for sharing your daughter's message and what type of hardship she's gone through with loss and the botched medical system out there. But let's turn to some joy, and let's talk about how we both help each other, and let's talk about some of the things that we have coming up, and how you have the women's chiropractic group that has around how many 7,000 people
We're
almost
pretty
now.
close to 7,000 now. Yeah, we're short maybe 80, so we don't want to, generalize, but we're almost 7,000. So it's a good thing. The group is continually growing. Just today, we had another viral thing go on about a mom who was pregnant 26 weeks, and she is struggling. She's like, I'm in pain, and I'm the sole breadwinner, and I just what do I do? And that's one of the things we help solve. And you should hear the tribe come around her and give her great options about what she should do, what she shouldn't do, how to do that. And that's one of the things we help solve in the group every single day. I mean, just one of many. But that was just one that I saw today that really touched my heart. She's.
And sometimes we get so caught up in earning and working that we lose our human instincts. And supporting each other is something you guys should all take away from this.
Yeah.
And even if it's not your mom or dad that you're saying, reach out and tell them that you love them. Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe you should just do that to your kids and just
Hmm.
reattach your love to people,
There you
and
go.
and don't detach yourself by being busy.
There
And
you
I think if you could use some takeaways, and I wasn't even honestly, Cindy, I wasn't even supposed to be an educated man. I wasn't even supposed to get a college degree, and I feel like anybody can do whatever they want to if they just stay true to themselves, and
hmm
they stand up, and they step forward, and they help people.
Yeah,
And the only reason I'm here with you today is because I just figured out how to massively help people.
that's
And I
awesome. You're
and I
doing a
think
great
that
job, Jim. We appreciate that.
Thank you. And for me, I know that I'm going to have a massive audience as this life grows. And I know that the audience is only going to get bigger, and there's only going to be bigger stages with more opportunities. And I think that's why God put me into this position to make these relationships with the doctors of present, which used to be in Edison's language, the doctors of the future. And now you guys are the doctors of the present, and you
Yeah.
guys are the caregivers, and you guys are the force of change in society. I just think that people are misinformed with what a chiropractor does. And I think that the smear campaign back in whatever it was, the 70s, really had the chiropractic profession walking around with a black eye and a bloody nose, and the chiropractor didn't even see it because their ego was too big.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot. I come from long line of chiropractors. We have 22 in our family. So, like I said, we come from a different worldview, and then to have a clash of this marry into our family that way and really see the effects of all that. And like I said, my daughter, of all people, dealing with um, dealing with the effects of two bad things that were
Mhm.
not even in. She was a home birth. Maxine McMullen, who was one of the founding people of chiropractic pediatrics, helped. She would have delivered her if they would have pulled her license in Iowa. She was delivered by her. She was the one I learned pediatric chiropractic from. And Heather was raised with all this stuff, and yet you go out into the world of all that, and so it's an interesting story. Keep doing what you're doing, Jim. It's an awesome
Well,
thing.
we live in a very sick world, and people don't know the healthy choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if somebody tells you that's in a position, the one percenters that are the doctors tell you something, you obey. And you
Yeah.
don't, and that's the problem with the way that people have been engineered, and the way
Yeah.
that they've been, I call it conveyor belt engineering, because people have been put on a conveyor belt, and they've been told what to believe, how to behave, and what to buy, and how to take care of themselves health wise. They just don't know the chiropractic is an option. They think you guys crack bones.
I've been talking to an anesthesiologist who is, um, and he's working with other holistic things, and he is almost giddy because this opioid crisis is tearing them up. They're leaving the profession in massive amounts. They came into it to try to help people too, and they got caught up in all this craziness as well. And every day he would love to just step out of this thing. It's just, he's excited. He's using CBD oil, on people and getting changes that way. instead of doing that. And he just says to me, Cyndy, I can't even tell you. He just almost literally giddy is the word for it to talk to him. And he just goes, the medical establishment is against me. He works out of a hospital system, a big university hospital system, and he's helped, work against laws for CBD oil and all this, or work for them, because he's like, he can't deal with the guilt of it anymore. He
Mm-hmm.
can't deal with it himself. They wanted to help people too, and they're stuck in that. And
Mm-hmm.
you'd be surprised. In my lifetime of dealing with MDs, because of course, when I grew up, your dad was a quack. That's what I heard growing up. Your dad's a quack. Your dad's a quack. Now our local quack basher around the corner from where I grew up, his nephew's a chiropractor and works in his office. It's hilarious, but you'd have to really live through my life to really get what an amazing thing that is. That here his nephew is working in there, but it's a thing. There people are waking up. They are waking up. It's a horrible crisis, but people are waking up. Let's seize the day. Let's seize the day, everybody, and let's do what we can do to push through this. Okay.
And stay humble and support people. Don't shun people. I think
Right.
that that's a big takeaway that people might be able to learn from, is to support each other and to not shun each other.
Right.
And one of the people that taught me how to do this type of stuff, podcasting, is Ed Osborne. And on his podcast, he would always say, "We're all more alike than we are different."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that once you guys realize that we're all more alike than we are different, you might look
Mm.
at each other a little bit different next time you see us. And you might hug us a little bit differently. You might shake our hands a little bit differently. And you know what? You might open an opportunity up to us a little bit differently. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's what the world is needing more of, is good opportunities, because I think that people, they feel afraid. They feel afraid that if I know something and it's too good, then somebody's going to steal it from me. Or if,
Yeah.
if I have something, what am I going to get out of it if I share or help somebody with it? I
Yeah.
tell people all day ideas all the time to help them. I wish people would
I
start
know
taking
you
some of
do.
I wish people would start taking some of my ideas and start implementing them and start growing themselves in their profession and their families and make their lives better, because we have to have vision, but we also have to support visionary. And
Yeah.
all of us have the vision, and we all have the visionary inside of us. We just have to give ourselves permission every day to step up and be great and to
Yeah.
serve and to help more people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we do in Women Chiropractors all the time. People ask me what the secret sauce is, why we have this amazing interconnected group. Because we're kind, because we connect people. We don't allow we allow conversation, we encourage educated conversation. We lift each other up, and we don't allow people who are going to bash or cause other issues inside the group. It's not going to happen.
Goes
And so
back
that's why it works.
to I was just down in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was at dinner with a group of influencers, and somebody said, "Well, how are you doing with your career?" I was like, "I think I'm doing all right." And they're like, "Well, do you have any haters?" I go, "No," and they're like, "Well, you haven't made it yet." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I have to be hated to make it?" And I was, I was just under the impression that if people are just good, they can become better, and you don't have to deal with people not agreeing with you. And if they do, just turn them off, you know, put them on mute. There's so
Yeah.
many people that if you just put them on mute, you wouldn't have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing, I'll tell any of you guys out there, if you get like people that might not be kind to you, or quality engagement, block and delete. It's the quickest thing to not have to worry about somebody else's belittlement of how they have a reflection of themselves that they put onto you.
Right.
So actually, anytime somebody ever does that to you, just know that that's coming from an inside source of their unhappiness. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't fix other people until they learn how to take care of themselves. So with that being said, let's talk about more happy, good stuff. I know that we're going to be on a cool trail with each other. We have Chiro Sushi coming up here soon.
Oh my God.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about some highlights and why you're excited to be there.
Sushi is going to be a lot of fun. I've never been there. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people that I've only talked with online. It's really a blast to meet people there. We are going to Rosemary Batansky, who's the president of Women Chiropractors, and I'm the CEO. We're going to teach a little workshop there on Friday morning at 9:30. So if you aren't too hungover, some of you in Vegas, I don't know, it'll be worth your while, definitely. And then we're going to be part of the Diamond Champagne celebration at night, right after JP Sears. So we're really looking forward to being part of that thing. That's going to be a blast. So BDC is one of the people, and I think Cairo Wealth are the supporters of that with us. So we're up there to raise women chiropractors group and connect people, all men, women, whatever. It just happens to be the niche that I knew the most about when I started it, and it just went viral because there was a big old need for it. So
Well,
I'm super excited about meeting everybody there.
yeah, thank you for allowing me to be a part of that women
Uh,
chiropractors group and to be supportive with media. And I know that, we can't do it alone. So it's nice to have good resources and trust in people. So thank
yeah,
you for that.
yeah.
And yeah, just like anybody out there, if you do want to go to Cairo Sushi, there is a chance if you go to check out to get 50% off of your ticket if you check out with code Chester. And it's going to give you half off of your ticket to show up and to press palms with us and to get knee to knee and do heart to heart hugs and all that cool stuff that
Oh
chiropractors do.
yeah, love to
And
do that.
yeah, and then we have an opportunity. We're just going to go linear now. The next event that we'll be at is Palmer Homecoming,
Right.
and let's talk about what you guys are going to be doing there.
So we have a reception for the women DCs on the on the top of the really cool current hotel. That's really going to be a fun thing. And Dr. Rosemary and I are teaching again. So the amazing balancing act of a woman chiropractor. Those are always super popular. Usually we get, if there's something scheduled after that, we kind of have to force our way out of the room. So it's just the need is great, and we're more than happy to help anybody in any way we can. So we're going to be there that weekend as well. So that'll be really fun. So I can't wait to see you guys there.
So yeah, Palmer Homecoming. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but it's in
It's
August sometime.
August, I think, 10 through 12, something like that. Huh?
And if any of you guys know me personally, that's my hometown. So I grew up in Davenport, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
My mother still lives 1.2 miles away from Palmer.
That's cool.
So I grew up in that town. So it's always a homecoming for me too,
Yeah.
without having an official homecoming for Palmer.
Right. That's nice.
So
That's nice.
I get to double dip myself with homecoming.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then we have an opportunity to go out to Stu and Teresa Warner's Genesis Pediatric
I
Conference
know.
out on the East Coast. And
Yeah.
what are they going to have you talking about?
They're having us talk about social media. They asked me to talk about that, and we're going to talk about groups in chiropractic. And like I said, everybody's always asking, how in the heck did you get this kind of crazy interaction? Because again, I know from Facebook that we are the most interactive group in chiropractic. And I don't know if there's anybody even close. Maybe they are. I have no idea. I don't know their metrics, but Facebook made it fairly clear to me that we were. And it's nuts. Just trying to help people out. It's grown into this huge movement. And Tuesday we had National Women Chiropractors Appreciation Day, which is just going around the globe. It'll be international next year. So it's just going crazy. But yeah, I'm so excited to see them. I've never been to this seminar either. I've got 7 kids, and when I go to places, they go, "How have we not met you before?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." It's hard for me to leave places. So my youngest is now 2 years out of high school, and that's what happened. That's what happened. I was able to do stuff when she graduated from high school. So the whole women's thing was dependent on when Kayla graduated from high school. That's true. It's
Well,
true.
it's nice to see the tone of our conversation change her to a lighthearted one
Yeah.
because I know we talked about some really heavy topics that need to be seriously taken under consideration. But the last thing that we're going to talk about is this great event that you guys are having in Orlando, Florida, and
Ooh.
let's roll out all the good content for people to know why to go, what's going to happen, and a little bit behind the scenes stuff.
Okay. When I imagined this convention, I imagined, and then along with my board, we all have these amazing imaginations. We said, what would we like to create? We're creating this whole thing from scratch, the very first historic women chiropractors convention. So we said we needed it at a great hotel. That matters to women. Men may not care, but it matters to women, right? So we have a great place. Plus, it matters what we eat. So the food is like they have the cleanest food of any hotel there. It's beautiful. It's close to Disney. We got discount Disney tickets, real discounts. It's amazing. And then Rosemary decided she's going to start hitting the sponsor's door. And guess what? She got donated a free digital X-ray machine. Red Medics, thank you. And listen, we are limiting this. Is not a huge convention because we want to make sure we hit it right on the head. Okay, right on the head. So only 250 tickets altogether, and we're going to sell out of this. But so far, what we've added up of what the giveaways are for 250 people, $60,000. $60,000 worth of stuff we're giving away. If you've ever watched Oprah's Favorite Things, that's kind of what it's going to be all about. But it isn't just that. It isn't just that. We have historic, groundbreaking things. We're going to have the glass ceiling breakers there. We're going to have all the women there in one place who have broken the glass ceiling in chiropractic for the first time. We're going to have the whole group of them together. And, we can have a place to pick their brains. We have amazing teachers. Jeannie Ohm is speaking there. She is super excited to be there. And let me tell you, this woman can command a nice speaking fee. And her generosity amongst all the other speakers, they are donating it to us. And it's not that we're trying to beat anybody out of it. We want to pay our speakers. But this first year, they're all in. Like, it's time. This is what I'm hearing from everybody. It's time. Thank you. And so we are gearing it to the women and everything you need in your life. We've got everybody that is just, it's amazing. It's going to be the most amazing seminar you've ever seen. Unbelievable.
So I guess the biggest question for people out there that are going to be watching to this point in the interview, where do they get tickets? Oh boy, Cyndy's locked up. So I'm just going to feed in here that Cyndy is frozen. So if you guys did want to get information on coming to the Women Chiropractors event in Orlando in October, we will post the link here. It might be in September, I'm not sure, but we'll post the link here in the comments. And there she's back.
I'm back.
Where can people get tickets?
Go to WDCconvention.com.
And what are the dates again?
It's October 12th to the 14th. And it's at the Gaylord in Orlando, Florida. Or they can go to womenchiropractors.com. Or you can go to our Facebook page or Facebook group. All these things, you're going to have all sorts of connectors. Don't miss it if you're a female DC or female DC students. We want to love on you. There's some scholarships available that some coaches have donated. We want to open it to everybody and be the most amazing convention for us. And we cannot wait. And you're going to get to be there. So it'll be a lot of fun for you. So if there's any, Jim Chester fans out there, this is a good time to get up and close with him. Just saying.
Well, thank you so much for making time and space for me today. This was an amazing, dynamic interview. And thank you for sharing from the depth of your heart on both levels, from the top and from the bottom of it. And I think that if any of you guys have made it this far, reach out to somebody you love and tell them that you love them. And if you haven't had a good relationship with one of your folks, reach out to them and tell them that you miss them and love them too. And I'm just going to close out by saying thank you to Alok Trivedi with Align Performance Institute. If you guys want to create more success and fulfillment in your life, personally and professionally, and are inspired to live in that mission, reach out to Dr. Alok Trivedi, and he'll be able to help you retool some of those dreams and hopes and goals that you might have. And I'm just going to close out. Is that okay, Cyndy?
That's great.
And I'm going to say you're just one story away. Keep hustling.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cyndy.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.